Nobody is really covering this the way they should be. A woman allegedly tried to rush Rihanna. Her kids were inside. The shooter came fully ready, wig, extra ammo, paper plates on the car, and then 1 week after getting the highest bail in LA history, a judge quietly dropped it by 5 times. No explanation, no statement, nothing. Okay, so if you clicked on this thinking it was just some unstable fan story, I understand. That is exactly how the headlines tried to frame it at first. But the more details that have come out, the harder it is to believe this was just some random person who snapped. Here's what stood out to most people right away: the bail. The judge set bail at $10.2 million. That is the highest bail in Los Angeles County history for a shooting where nobody was physically hurt. Think about that. Actual murders in LA have had lower bail than this. So why is a judge treating this case like the suspect is an extreme danger to the public? Then 1 week later, same case, no new evidence, the judge cuts that bail down by 5 times. It goes from $10.2 million down to $1.8 million, just like that. Nobody explained it, the media barely mentioned it, and that right there tells you this story is a lot bigger than what is being reported. In this video, you are going to find out who Ivanna Ortiz really is, what she has to do with one of the biggest music corporations in the world, and why Rihanna's name keeps coming up every time someone mentions the Epstein files. And by the end of this, you are going to understand why Rihanna packed up her kids and left Los Angeles the very next day and has not returned since. So what happened on March 8th? On March 8, 2026, a 35-year-old woman named Ivanna Ortiz drove from Orlando, Florida, all the way to Beverly Hills. She pulled up to Rihanna's front gate and fired more than 10 shots with an AR-15 style rifle. The bullets hit the front gate, the house, and the silver Airstream trailer parked in the driveway. Here is the part that made everyone freeze. Rihanna and A$AP Rocky were inside that trailer at the exact moment the shots were fired. Not in the main house, in the trailer, right there. Also inside the home were 3 kids, Rihanna's mother, and 2 staff members. 8 people total were in danger.
Here new tonight, a woman is in custody after firing multiple shots at the California home of pop star Rihanna while she was inside. Lori Perez reports from the Beverly Crest neighborhood of Los Angeles.
We are down the street from Rihanna's house here in Beverly Crest, just north of Beverly Hills. You can see an officer stationed here, yellow tape closing the street off to through traffic. LAPD tells us they arrested a person earlier today for firing multiple shots at the house. This happened just after 1 today Pacific time. We can see multiple bullet holes in the fence outside the home. The LA Times is reporting the pop star was inside at the time. It is unclear if her partner, the rapper A$AP Rocky, or their 3 children were also there.
After shooting, Ortiz drove away calmly. She was caught about 30 minutes later at a shopping center 7 miles away, and when police searched her car, they found the AR-15, 7 spent shell casings, a blonde wig, and a 30-round magazine in the trunk. The DA came out and said it clearly. This was intentional, planned, and fully premeditated.
Police tracked the car to a Sherman Oaks shopping center where they found the rifle and 7 shell casings, and now Ortiz is being held on a massive $10.2 million bail. At this time, reports indicate Rihanna is safe, and it's unclear if A$AP Rocky or their 3 children were home.
The Epstein files. Here is what you need to know. Now, there is another key piece of context you need before we go deeper into this. On January 30th, 2026, the Department of Justice reportedly released over 3.5 million pages of documents tied to Jeffrey Epstein. Videos, images, FBI reports, all of it. And buried inside those files is an unverified FBI tip from 2019 that mentions Jay-Z. To be clear, he has not been charged with anything. The only reason his name appears is because of an anonymous hotline tip describing an alleged incident from 1996. But here is the part that matters. His name is in those files. And on March 3rd, just 5 days before the shooting, Congresswoman Nancy Mace confirmed that Jay-Z is one of the people the government is actively reviewing. Why does that matter? Because Jay-Z is the man who discovered Rihanna. He has been connected to her career since she was a teenager. And once you understand that, the rest of this story starts to feel a lot less random. The woman who drove 2,500 miles. So now let's talk about Ivanna Ortiz, because at first, most people assumed she was just a crazed fan who finally snapped. And honestly, the videos on her social media only made that theory stronger. She had been posting about Rihanna for months leading up to the shooting. In one video, she claims Rihanna has been harassing her. She talks about God's judgment coming for her. She calls her ugly and just keeps ranting, video after video after video. Now here is where it gets complicated. Because yes, her social media looks like someone dealing with something mentally serious, but the way she carried out this attack does not match someone who simply lost control. She prepared for this. She drove more than 2,500 miles from Florida to California. She brought a blonde wig to change her appearance. She packed extra ammunition. She used paper plates on the car to avoid being tracked. This was not a breakdown. This was organized. And then, like we already talked about, the judge sets the highest bail in LA County history, $10.2 million, but just 1 week later cuts it down by 5 times with no explanation, no new evidence, no change in charges, just reduced. So who benefits from her getting out faster? That is the question nobody is asking loud enough.
Clues now in the assault rifle attack on Rihanna's mansion as we're learning more about the woman police say opened fire on the Grammy winner's home. Eyewitness News reporter Liz Nagy live outside the Beverly Glen home with new revelations tonight. Liz.
Mark, tonight investigators are looking into new videos posted online long before they say Ivanna Ortiz showed up here outside Rihanna's home.
Anna, when you die, God is taking me to my future. You want to kill me. Shut up.
Investigators are now looking at this rambling talk-to-camera video posted on January 4th and many others like it on Ortiz's social media profiles.
The Live Nation connection. Now this next part is where you really need to stay locked in because this detail got buried under everything else people were focusing on. 4 months before the shooting, back in October 2025, Ivanna Ortiz filed a lawsuit against Live Nation. She was trying to stop a Billie Eilish concert in Orlando. She claimed the event would cause her immediate harm. She asked the court to block the show completely. The court dismissed the case. The concert still went on, and that was supposed to be the end of it. But here's why that detail matters. Live Nation is the same company that promotes Rihanna's tours through Roc Nation, Jay-Z's company, and it is also the same Live Nation that the Department of Justice is currently suing for allegedly controlling the concert industry. Cat Williams has been pointing out this pattern for years. He says the music industry has a habit of using people who seem unstable, people with a public history of erratic behavior, because when something happens, it becomes easy to point at them and say, "See, crazy person, case closed." He calls them psyops, and Cat says Ortiz fits that profile almost perfectly. She has the social media history, she has the mental health red flags, she can be identified fast, arrested fast, and the whole story gets wrapped up before anyone starts asking the bigger questions.
Listen, Rihanna, when you die, God is taking me to my future.
10 felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm.
She only did her little music thing so that she can do witchcraft.
The 3 a.m. contract and the 29th floor. Now, we need to go way back to 2005. Rihanna's only 16 years old and she's just been flown out to New York for an audition at Def Jam Records. Jay-Z is the president of Def Jam at the time. She walks in, she performs, and he's clearly impressed. So far, it sounds like a normal industry story, right? But then Rihanna goes on the Tyra Banks show and tells the story herself. She says Jay-Z looked at her and told her, and I'm paraphrasing here, "There are only 2 ways you're leaving this office. Either you walk out that door with a deal, or you go out this window and we're on the 29th floor." The audience gasped, Tyra gasped, and Rihanna laughed nervously because what else are you supposed to do when a powerful man says something like that to you? And I don't know about you, but that line does not hit the same in 2026 the way it did back in 2005. Jay-Z later confirmed the story in a 2005 MTV interview. He said they signed her that night, that they didn't let her leave the office, and that the contract wasn't finalized until 3 in the morning.
Diva Rihanna. And when she walked into our office, I was like, she just had, it was just something about her. It was just, she had this, it was just something about it. And then she performed the song, and I was like, okay. Okay. Then, we sat down and we talked. And they were talking about how she would stay in the studio and try to get the verse over and then come back the next day. I was like, oh, work ethic, everything is there. So we signed it that night. We didn't let her leave the office.
Really?
The 3 in the morning was when that contract got signed. So from the meeting around 3, 4 in the afternoon, we signed it by 3 in the morning.
Wow.
That day, I was absolutely certain.
Oh yes, she said, we don't sing songs here, we sing artists. And there was this little pause, and I was nervous. But then he said, and we're interested. And there was this sudden feel of relief. But then he said something about a window and a door. Oh, then he said, he did it homework. I did a lot of homework on you, this lady. He said, there are 2 ways to leave here, either through the door with the deal signed or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor.
3 a.m., a 16-year-old girl, no parents in the room, and a grown man who, by his own words, would not let her leave. In 2005, that story was sold as hustle and determination, Jay-Z being so impressed by Rihanna's talent that he had to lock in the deal that same night. But in 2026, with Jay-Z's name showing up in the Epstein files and the entire entertainment industry under a federal microscope, that same story hits completely different. So the real question becomes, what does Rihanna know? Here is the thing about Rihanna that people are not saying enough. She has been inside this industry for 2 decades. She has been to the party. She has been on the private jets. She has been in those rooms. She knows who knows who. She knows what went down and who was present when it went down. And right now, with Diddy sitting in prison waiting for trial, with Weinstein already convicted, and investigators digging through the Epstein files looking for anyone willing to testify, Rihanna's name keeps getting mentioned as someone who could be a key witness. On March 3, 2026, Congresswoman Nancy Mace confirmed that Jay-Z is among the people the government is reviewing in connection to the Epstein investigation. That is 5 days before someone showed up at Rihanna's home carrying an AR-15. Cat Williams has been blunt about how this system works. He says the industry doesn't always need to kill you, they just need to scare you enough to keep you quiet. They send a message. We know where you live, we know where your kids sleep, we can reach you whenever we want. And then the very next day after the shooting, March 9th, Rihanna packs up her family, drives to Van Nuys Airport, and boards a private jet. Destination unknown. She is gone and she has not come back. Her team has not released a single statement. She has gone completely dark. Now think about that. If this was just a crazy fan, you don't run. You hire more security, you install better cameras, you stay in your home and protect your space. You only run when you realize the person holding the gun is just the beginning of something much bigger. 50 Cent's silence speaks volumes. Now, let's talk about 50 Cent, because the man has not posted a single thing about this. And if you know 50, you know how unusual that is. This is someone who has publicly backed Rihanna for 15 years straight. When Chris Brown attacked her in 2009, 50 Cent spoke out immediately. When A$AP Rocky went to trial in February 2025, facing 24 years in prison, 50 was posting support the whole time. When Rocky got acquitted, 50 celebrated publicly. But March 8th, 2026, 10 bullets at Rihanna's home, and 50 Cent says absolutely nothing. Now, according to an insider, 50 did reach out privately. He reportedly called A$AP Rocky after the shooting to offer support, and he allegedly told Rocky, "Take Rihanna and the babies to Barbados, because whoever sent that shooter will send someone else." 50 Cent has watched what happens to people who speak too loudly. Cat Williams got mocked and dismissed for years. Corey Feldman was laughed at when he tried to talk about Hollywood abuse. Rose McGowan lost her career. Kanye West ended up hospitalized. So 50 made a choice. He is not going to expose the network by naming names on Instagram. Instead, he is producing documentaries about Diddy, about the music industry, about how power operates, and letting the public connect the dots on their own. And honestly, that might be the smartest move in the room right now. A$AP's enemies and the Roc Nation question. Now, before we wrap this up, there are 2 other theories people have been talking about, and you deserve to hear them. The first one involves A$AP Rocky's former crew member, A$AP Relly. Those two had a falling out that ended in a criminal trial. Relly accused Rocky of shooting him twice. Rocky was facing 24 years in prison. He was acquitted in February 2025, but Relly is still out there, still angry, and people have been pointing at him as a possible link to the shooting. The second theory, and this is the one that has gotten the most traction online, involves Roc Nation. Social media has been flooded with posts claiming Rihanna has quietly been cooperating with federal investigators, that she has been talking about what she knows regarding Jay-Z's dealings, and the network she has been around for 20 years. Nobody has confirmed this, it is speculation, but if there is any truth to it, it explains a lot about why someone would want to send her a message right now, at this exact moment.
Shooting at Rihanna's LA home was premeditated, prosecutors say. What we know about the suspect and case, the Florida woman is facing 1 count of attempted murder and other charges in connection to the shooting at the Diamonds singer's home.
Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Ivanna Ortiz acted completely alone, or do you believe there is something deeper behind all of this? I want to read what you really think, not just the safe answer. If this video made you stop and think, share it, because this is a story that deserves way more attention than it's getting. And I'll catch you in the next one.